My name is Ilya Kaiser. Over the past 10 years, I consulted over 1,000 companies. I started my own companies, some of which failed, some of which made over $1 million a month. And my client portfolio currently does over 9 figures a year. In this video, I want to talk about the principle that is fundamental to scale to 8 figures. The thing is, if you don't get this right, what I'm going to talk about in this video, you will 100%, I guarantee you, I put my hand into this fire, I guarantee you, get into trouble, headaches, have a painful experience running your business, and be in a state where you have 12-hour work days, you don't really have a lot of freedom, you don't really have a lot of time, you might make a little bit of money, but it doesn't really feel that nice. What I'll lay out in this video will allow you to build a business that is free, where you can breathe, where you have the ability to actually enjoy the life that you really want to enjoy, and actually make use of the money that you're going to make. So let's dive into it. I call this building the machine that builds the machine. There's 2 types of business owners. There's business owner number 1. So business owner number 1 builds the machine. Now, the issue with building the machine is that you have to keep building the machine, and you're the only one who builds the machine. So the machine can only keep growing if you continue to build the machine. So it's very limited to scale. And if you watch my last video, I talked about 2 types of businesses, one being an effort-based business, and a second being a scaling business, which is a systemized business. And the difference between an effort-based business is that in the effort-based business, the entrepreneur builds the machine. In the systems-based business, the entrepreneur builds the machine that builds the machine. In this case, he builds like a robot, right? And this robot now builds the machine. And the difference is that in this second scenario, the entrepreneur can actually now relax and lay down and enjoy and watch the machine that he built, which is this thing, builds the machine that then creates the results which he wants to achieve. Super, super important. Now, the fundamental principle makes sense to a lot of people, and you maybe have heard this before. But the important thing to understand is how do you actually apply this to your real life? So let me show you in 3 examples on how this actually works in your actual business. So let's take example number 1, and we want to look at people, because it's the easiest one to understand. If you focus on hiring people and you focus on then taking those people that you hire and you start working them in, right? Which is what most people do. Maybe you have some training materials and you start working and teaching these people on how to do the job. This is how you do it. You explain them, you answer them the questions, etc., etc., etc. This is the normal approach to hiring. Building machine approach to hiring is you first think, what does this person need to be successful within his role? And then you build a training system around how to be successful in this role. And then essentially what you do is you give this person the training material, and you spend your time not training the person, but you spend your time doing the training material that then trains the person. The best CEOs in the world, all they do is give people the right vision, give them the resources they need to be successful, and spend time training them. But the misconception is that you need to train the people directly. Yes, you need to do that, but you want to build a machine that then allows you to train the people. And then your time should be focused on how can I make this thing better? So the result is that this person is better and their outcome makes you, again, more money. But let's look at it from a second principle standpoint. Let's look at example number 2, sales. If you look at sales, most people would go out there and what they would say is, okay, let me find great sales talent and then let me train that sales talent. Let me give them the right script. Now, the important thing to understand is that the success of a salesperson is, of course, dependent on his actions, on his ability to sell, but it's also largely dependent on the opportunity and the vehicle that he sits in. Meaning how amazing you are at generating high quality leads, how great your product is, how great your results are, how many case studies you have and whatnot. The better results you have, the more content you have, the more case studies you have, the easier it is for the salesperson to actually make you money, right? This is what you want to get to. So instead of thinking, okay, let me train a salesperson, what you want to do first is, okay, let me build the training material that trains the salesperson. And then let me focus on building the machine that builds the machine, which in this scenario is putting your focus on helping this person actually win, which is, for example, building out an amazing content funnel where you focus your time on building content such that the prospect, when he actually shows up to an appointment with this person, is already warm and has already a lot of trust and a lot of certainty in your company, such that they already are over some of the usual objections that they will give this person. Therefore, you make this person's job easier. Now, in the first step, we built the actual SOPs, we built the actual training material to train the people. But then also what you want to focus on is, okay, can we focus on the content? Can we look at all the objections people get, and can we have our product be better so the product actually produces better results? So even the salesperson is more confident in selling the product, but the product itself generates better results, and therefore it's easier to get testimonials, and therefore it's even easier for the salesperson to sell. Can I add systems and processes to remove work from the salesperson? Most sales guys out there, their job is to manage, and their job is to do XYZ when their main focus should be on one thing, which is selling. If you build a machine that builds a machine, if you think about it, if you look at a big industrial hall and what they do is, for example, they produce cars, you will see that most of the robots, they are focused on single things, right? It's the Henry Ford principle. It's like you just want to do one thing. The salesperson should only do one thing. Your job is to be the orchestrator of the machine that then builds the machine, which again is how can I make the job of the salesperson easier and get him to do the thing which is important, which is make you money. Let's put some wood into the fire. So let's look at point number 3, content. If you think about content, most people, what they would do is they would sit down and they would look at, okay, what type of YouTube video do I want to produce? And they would write the script, for example, and then they would record this thing. Now, this again is not building the machine. What your focus should be is, for example, taking all the content that you've already done, feeding the content into an AI, and then having the AI come up with the ideas for you to then only have to go over. Now, the important thing to understand is in creative work, there's multiple possibilities on how you can build a machine that builds a machine. Like an artist or a content creator who is creative, one of the most highest level thing they have is their creativity of the ideas. In this scenario, what you want to look at is, okay, can you do 10%, for example, of the work? Can you come up with the initial ideas, have the machine do 80% of the work, and then you finish up the last 10%? This is, for example, how Andy Warhol works, right? One of the most successful painters in modern day history, where he comes up with the ideas, he has other people finishing up the work 90%, and then he comes in and he does the last 10%, right? This is, for example, how you can build a machine that builds the machine in terms of content, right? Another thing that you should got to think about is how can you build systems, like, for example, scheduling out this content and really then getting to a point where you never ever have to think about posting a reel because you already have scheduled 40, 50, 100 reels from today on moving forward. And then your focus is, okay, what am I going to post next month, for example, right? This again is super important. The other thing, again, which is building a machine that builds a machine, is you can use people to run the machine. It doesn't only need to be AI and systems, whatnot, but you want to remove everything that is necessary to get the people to be super, super, super focused. And now you can see how one reinforces other, right? People are super important, but you got to train the people through the right SOPs, through the right training, right? And this should be step number 1. What can you look at in your current company, which you got to systemize, and then that allows you to train the right people for them to know what to do, right? So moving forward, every single action that you're doing, the question should be, are you building the machine, or are you building the machine that builds the machine? Because this is the highest leverage task that you as a business owner can actually do within your business, except of hinting the vision of where your company is going to go, making the right judgment calls and the right decisions in the process, and obviously giving your people the right resources to do their work. But building a machine that builds a machine is the highest leverage task aside from those. I hope you got some value out of this video. If you like it, subscribe to the channel, leave a thumbs up, leave a comment if you have any questions. I'll drop more information like this on this channel continuously every single week. And also I'll do a giveaway very, very soon to all my subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, you're going to miss out. Okay? Amazing. Good. Appreciate your time, and I see you in the next video.